Couple things I wanted to sort of announce before we got started. First of all, as always, we've got some upcoming events. There is a public night this Saturday, day after tomorrow. We had one actually last Saturday. Had some clear skies, miracle, and had some visitors. We had about 6 people that I guess showed up. Unfortunately, it got a little cloudy while they were there, so we didn't give them a super good look, but we did have some people. So there is another one scheduled. As always, if you want to come out and help out, I'm not sure I can make it out to this one. I've got stuff that day that I think is going to bleed into the evening. So I don't think I'm going to be there, but if you can, of course, it's always good to have people out there to kind of help out. And I'm not sure if I've seen a really reliable sky forecast yet, but
I heard it's supposed to be clear.
it's supposed to be clear. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. There's, of course, the next general meeting is August 28th. I've been talking to, communicating with a guy who runs his observatory down in Goddard, Kansas. He looks at short period variable stars. I think he's probably going to give a talk in September. So that means August is still available if anybody wants to, jump in there and give a feature presentation on this.
Wasn't Graham supposed to do an August one? Was Graham supposed to do an August one? I thought on his about New Mexico or wherever it's at.
Is it?
Well, I thought that's what we talked about.
Okay, well, let me get that.
In the meetings at some point.
Yeah, if he is, then I will definitely, I'll catch up with him and check on that.
I'm glad about it.
But, after that, of course, I'm always looking for people, so I got a couple of things kind of on the burner if we need it, but anybody wants to give a presentation, of course, you're always welcome. Couple things, I thought I would announce this. Today is a very red letter day in aviation history. 3 important things happened. 1897, Amelia Earhart was born in Atchison, of course, kind of a pioneering aviator. 1950, the very first rocket launch from Cape Canaveral took place. This is kind of the primary range where they, of course, tested missiles and then later, of course, kind of evolved into the manned spacecraft, or at least the U.S. manned spacecraft launching area. So, have you ever been to Cape Canaveral?
Just was there last summer.
Yeah, it's a fascinating place. I was down there last summer for got invited to watch a launch, and it was great because it took place on the pad where they launch complex, or the marine rockets and the shuttle was launched from. So it's a super interesting place, and there's just history all everywhere you look. So very worth a visit if you're ever in that area. But area around it's kind of super exciting. But the place itself really is. And of course, in 1969, this was the final day of the very first lunar expedition. Paul Rhodes splashed down after 8 days in the very first U.S. or very first human trip to the moon. So that happened in this day in 1969. I've always kind of thought of this as sort of a critical thing. There is one other thing I wanted to announce. Now, you probably heard about this already. It ties in a little bit to what we're going to watch a little movie on here later. But for those of you who haven't heard, June 30th was Asteroid Day, which is an international day that commemorates the Tunguska. It's on the day that Tunguska event happened, right? So this was a collision, a meteorite strike. Early 1900s, I guess, kind of thing. Anyway, this is now a recognized day, international event. The reason why I bring it up is at the last board meeting, we talked about potentially putting together a program for Asteroid Day next year. So this would be next June 30th, including maybe see if we can get a governor's proclamation and possibly coordinate with the city of Topeka about this. We think this would be a good way of kind of raise some awareness, also get a little publicity for the club, and scrounge up some new members if we can. Of course, as you probably know, we're looking to relocate the Tombaugh, move the Tombaugh to a new location that requires money, and maybe if we can attract a little attention and make the fundraising situation a little bit. Do you want to say anything about that, Russ, by the way? Russ is the chair of the committee that's overlooking that. I unfortunately missed the last meeting. Is there anything that really needs to be reported?
Me and Gary are going to do look into one of the NASA grants that might be a possibility. Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. We're looking into money sources.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually have a location. And Cress, who's not here, a member who's not here tonight, his family owns some land over near Council Road. And they graciously donated a little bit of land. So we got a good site. You know, unfortunately, the current Farpoint site is starting to get light polluted, and it's starting to substantially degrade the performance of the scope. So the plan is to move the combo to this new location, make it a remote accessible location only, right, so it will be used strictly remotely. We'll continue to use Farpoint as our public galleries location, observing site, club observing site, possibly put a different telescope in it with the tunnels. But the major thing is that we get the combo onto the location where some of those things that are a little less accessible to us now just because of lighting, we've had a little bit. It'll be a substantial expense in order to get this done. So anyway, so the idea then will be to put together some kind of public program and really come up with all the details. Angel is actually the chair of that committee, so he's looking into some things. But, if anybody wants to, help out, ideas that might be interesting, I personally would like to do some kind of a program. Ultimately, I would be cool to do it in the capital, but as somebody pointed out, the state legislature is not in session on that time, so there might not be anybody there. But something to just attract a little bit of attention. Gary pointed out that there is an asteroid Topeka, which I believe Gary discovered in Maine, and he's going to collect a little video of it moving across the sky, so we can use that to let people know that there's a bit of a history there. So anyway, so if you're interested in that, would want to participate or make some kind of a contribution to that. All right. So anyway, as I said, what major event for tonight is get a break from this meeting. We're going to watch this documentary. It's a NASA documentary, extremely well made. I've seen it. Gary has watched it too. Very, very well made. And the reason why I kind of wanted to watch it all, is that it sort of ties into what we do as a club as well. Again, I know I'm kind of hard speaking to the choir here, probably a little bit of that, but planetary defense has become kind of a buzzword and kind of an important one since the Congress mandated that they wanted all the potential hazardous asteroids of a certain size, they wanted them located on a certain date, I guess. We're about 40% there or something like that.
140 meters.
These would be the ones. So there was a pretty significant effort to work on this. I actually was kind of thought a little bit about this. I read this book, which is a NASA publication, and there was this quote in here that really stuck out on me, where the idea here is to start thinking about these things not so much as just spots in the sky as natural hazards, which in a sense they are. So a lot of the advocacy for surveys and that sort of thing sort of follows from that. And of course, this is a picture that I kind of cobbled together. You can see how much of an artist I'm not here. But this kind of shows you the issue here, right? This would be approximately the size if you put it on a football field of the object that it might actually have been a little smaller than this because it was an iron, right? Which are the densest of all the objects that are out there. But it was probably about that big. It was probably somewhere in the vicinity of 45 meters or so. And this is their meteor crater in Arizona, which was the hole in the ground that this made. I don't know if anybody's ever been here, right? You've been there, then you can get an idea, right? It's difficult to pick up on the scale of it, obviously, because this is an aerial photo. This one right over here, this little oblong thing, that's the visitor center. You know, the joke is always that it just barely is the visitor center. And that's a pretty good sized building there. It's got a museum in it and lots of, that's the road that leads up to it there. So this thing is very close to a mile across. And that's a pretty big hole in the ground. It was made by a rock that's roughly the size of a big house or a small office building or something like that. So, and of course the reason why something that relatively small can make a hole that relatively big is that it's really fast. And Gary Ellis does the demonstration of the slow toss and fast toss and the kinetic energy that these things release. So just, if it were happened to hit in a populated area, because this probably happened about 50 or 60,000 years ago, and probably there were people around, but not major population centers. This is a little thing from a website that you can access. That would be about the size of this thing if this were hit right on the Capitol building. Of course, that's the size of the crater right there. The size of the destructive capacity of this would be much, much larger. So this is a significant concern, and that's the reason why this whole Planetary Defense Office actually exists. So with that in mind, I will go ahead and start the movie.
So this next episode of Shot Blast will be potentially hazardous asteroids can show up anywhere in the night sky at any time. So we're up here for 12 to 13 hours sometimes making decisions about the objects we're seeing, if they're real or if they're just noise in the background. And so the odds of finding an asteroid increase as we move toward the east.